All right, we're all set. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. You just adjust you just a little bit more, then let the action begin. Be in there.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to the creator of the heavens and earth, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And I'm out here once again to let you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians know that you are the true biblical Israelites, the true children of who the world ignorantly calls God. And if you don't turn away from your sin, which we know that sin, according to 1 John, the 3rd chapter, is transgression of the law. Okay? So if you don't turn away from your sins, you're going to be judged according to your wicked ways. And we know that according to Colossians chapter 3, verse 25, but he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. Okay, now I might have to adjust the camera a little bit because I don't know if I'm being shown completely in the video. I don't know what the measurement is like on this either. Okay, that might actually be better. I don't even know why it was zoomed in like that, but okay. You know, but as brothers have said, okay, we're getting ready to go from glory to glory. So in order to go from glory to glory, that means that we're going to have to get ready to give up particular comforts. We're going to have to get ready to be in the mindset of getting ready to suffer. Because we know that according to Revelation 12, verse 12, therefore woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So because the devil, a lot of foolish Christians believe that the devil's talking about the spiritual demon Satan, like one day he's going to wake up from underneath the Atlantic Ocean. He's going to come up to earth and you know, he's going to start beating people's ass. Okay, he's going to start putting his foot in people's asses. Oh, you haven't been eating pork? Nigga, eat that pork. Nah, man, that's not what it means by the devil's going to come down with great wrath. Okay, when you go to that word devil, it goes back to the Greek word diabolos. And it literally means pertaining to a man by whom opposing Yahweh, opposing the God of the Bible. Okay? There's only one nation of people on this planet that have turned everything upside down. As it is written in the book of Isaiah 29 verse 29 verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down should be esteemed as the potter's clay. Because when Yahweh Shai and his angels, which are his elect men, created the heavens and the earth, everything was created to be upright. Okay? And we were given a set of laws, statutes, and commandments to abide by in order to facilitate righteousness here on earth. Because when you keep the ways of the God of the Bible, his name is Yahweh, everything flourishes. Okay? when you don't take lobsters or crabs or shrimps out of the oceans, you get a clean, sparkling. You get a clean, sparkling, or a pristine ocean. You get a clean, sparkling, or a pristine river. Okay, when you don't eat pork, you have a creature that keeps the earth clean. When you don't eat vultures or hawks or ravens or animals that feast on dead bodies, you get a clean and pristine earth. Okay, when you don't have vehicles running on gas, constantly polluting the air, okay, you get a clean, pristine air that you're able to breathe, that your body is able to profit from. Okay, when you don't commit adultery, okay, you're allowing the union between a man and a woman to prosper. You're allowing the legacy of another man's family to continue in the earth. Okay? When you don't worship idols, you know, you're not committing murder, such as sacrificing your child unto idols in order to please a rock or a piece of wood or copper or gold that cannot see, that cannot breathe, that cannot hear, feel, etc. Because there is no life in these idols. You know, when you're not being a Mo, okay, you're preventing diseases from spreading, because homosexuality causes what? Diseases, which the word disease, when you look it up, it means dis-ease, meaning your body is not at ease. You know, you're preventing diseases from spreading. So simple things like that allows righteousness to flourish in the earth. But now we know that according to Job chapter 9 verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And in the latter days, we know that according to 2nd Esdras chapter 6 verse 7, for on down, Esau will be tied to the end of the world, meaning that he will be the last one to have control over the entire planet before the Messiah returns to set everything right side up. So the Edomites are ruling the entire earth today, and that's why everything is upside down. Adulterers and adulteresses get to walk freely. You know, you got a bunch of fruit cakes. They get to walk freely. Effeminate walk freely. You know, pedophiles, you know, going around watching child PRN, and guess what? Nothing is happening to them. You got a bunch of children, little girls, little boys coming up missing. Come to find out, they've been on Epstein Island being molested, being terrorized. You know, outside of America, in third world countries, or even in places like Mexico, you got people getting murdered, okay? Their heads are being chopped off because they disrespected a cartel. So you're gonna chop somebody's head off for disrespecting a cartel? That's murder. You know? And we know that according to Matthew, let's get Matthews 24 and 37. Because the same things that was going on during the time of Noah Those same things are happening now. Matthew 24, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so the same things that was going on during the time of Noah, the same things are happening now. Okay, you got men. Their wives are literally getting raped right in front of them. Before the man, the husband of the wife gets murdered in front of the woman, and then she becomes a perpetual sex slave. You know, you got whole families getting off. You got all kind of shootouts. Okay, nobody is happy. You know, there's a constant want. There's a constant want for something. You know, nothing is ever enough. Okay, it's already bad enough we're eating fake foods. The air has been polluted with chemtrails, such as barium, arsenic, aluminum, estrogen, mercury, fluoride, and other chemicals that's being sprayed in the air. And not only is your food fake, not only has it been genetically modified, but it's also being wrapped up in plastic. Okay, plastic contains a chemical called bisphenol, which is a chemical known to cause cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and pregnancies. It has been known to cause osteoporosis, a bone deteriorating disease. It has been known to cause erosion of teeth. It has been linked to causing floaters in the eyes, which leads to what? Blurry vision. Okay, your cereal got all kinds of metals in it. The very same Similac that you're using to feed your baby with got metals in it. All you got to do is take a magnet and put it to the side of the bag and watch the bag stick to the magnet. Okay? You know, you don't know if you're eating human meat nowadays because human meat has been mixed into the ground beef. It has been mixed into the steak. They're using meat glue to keep your chicken together. And glue is a chemical. Okay? Chemicals do not belong in the body. But chicken got meat glue in it. You know? Nobody honors the Sabbath except the elect. You got all kinds of wars and bloodshed going on. You know, you can't even drink water out of your own faucet anymore because the water has been heavily polluted. Okay? There's heavy amounts of lead in your water. You know, there's microcosmic shrimp in your water. There's feces in your water. There's fluoride in your water. There's chlorine in your water. It's like, God damn! You drink even 1 cup of the water that come out of your faucet and you're liable to drop dead. So the only solution is the wicked, which are the Edomites, the biblical Edomites, which is the self-proclaimed white man. He got to be taken out of power, man. He got to go. He's got to go, man. Because there has been nothing but corruption on this planet ever since this man got into power. And ever since this man has been into power, there has been moral decay. Matthew 24, verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking. And eating and drinking can also be linked to partying. Okay? All a nigga want to do is party. You know? And when you go to Ecclesiastes 3:1, let's get Ecclesiastes 3:1 real quick. Because we're not in the time to be partying, man. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Okay? It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So there's a time and a place for everything, man. And we're not in the time to be, blasting music, going to house parties. And then a lot of these house parties are wicked. Because, you go to these house parties, right? And mass adultery goes on. You got a lot of women who got men going to these house parties. Okay? While her man is at work, slaving away, doing his best to make ends meet, what is his woman, what is his rib doing? She's going to a house party that bouncing on another Tom, Dick, and Harry. Because she knows that he's going to be at work overnights. Okay? Especially if he work overnights, she going to be at the club somewhere shaking her funky ass on some other nigga. So moral decay is at an all-time high. You got all kind of drugs, that be going on at these house parties. All kind of weed smoking, all kinds of ass smacking, and I'm talking about adultery, music blasting. Okay, you got people, you got niggas drinking 40s, brandies, drinking E&J, drinking vodka, gin, just getting completely loose. And then niggas wonder why shootouts break out at these different house parties. All kind of shootouts, violence, fights break out. Because you disrespected this nigga's set. You said something this nigga didn't like. So now this nigga say something out of pocket, now you got shootouts breaking out. And oftentimes, shootouts lead to other people getting put to death when they had nothing to do with that house party. A stray bullet might go through another person's wall, might hit the child. The child ends up dying. You see, and that's what happens when moral decay is at an all-time high. Niggas don't know how to act anymore. You got grocery stores closing at 9 o'clock because niggas don't know how to act. Niggas don't know how to act. You got fights and people getting jumped as soon as they leave the grocery store. So now you got grocery stores closing at 9 p.m. So eating and drinking is synonymous with partying, man. And the Heavenly Father did not put alcohol on this planet so you can act like a complete freak. So you can act like a complete animal. Okay? Wine and strong drink was given to make the mind merry. You know, drinking wine and gatherings were supposed to be synonymous with talking about prosperity, talking about things that matter, how to further righteousness in the earth. Because there's nothing wrong with drinking wine. Hell, the Holy Scriptures even tell you, give strong drink to him that's ready to perish. You know, a man that's getting ready to go to war, you know, he might be heavy in his mind. The Scriptures say, give strong drink to a man like that. So there's nothing wrong with a gathering. There's nothing wrong with drinking wine. But there's a way you walk in the earth with wine and strong drink. You know? I mean, if you're going to drink wine, if you're going to have strong drink at gatherings, be rational, be responsible, you know, because usually at gatherings, when you have strong drink, right, when you have strong drink, when you drink wine at gatherings, you're supposed to be talking about things that edify unto righteousness. You know, sharing advice that can forward another man and his family's legacy. You know, your communication should be about, you know, Yahweh Shai, prosperity, talking about how to forward legacies in the earth. You know, because that's how new ideas are accumulated. I mean, sometimes, you know. But because of moral decay, especially in this society, you know, you got guys, you know, they come together. You know, they come together at house parties. And it all leads to violence. Because the music also plays a role in that too. So eating and drinking is also synonymous with the type of music you listen to. You know, here it is. You're highly intoxicated, and you're listening to a Tupac hit 'em up. You're listening to Lil Durk. And music like that will only influence more violence. So you're already highly intoxicated. And besides that fact, right? The fact that you're highly intoxicated, your mind is being fed music that edifies onto violence, that promotes bloodshed. And to be honest, I've never felt comfortable being at house parties that talks about, you know, walking around with the strap and shooting and killing and robbing and murdering. Because when your mind is constantly being fed music like that, while you're highly intoxicated, it's going to lead to you, you know, trying to be tough and doing all manner of fuckery, man. But you get what I'm saying. For in the days that were before the flood, okay, they were eating, drinking, marrying, and marrying is synonymous with sex. Okay? Matter of fact, when you go into that word marriage, the word marriage means joined to. It means to be joined to. And how do a man and a woman become joined one to another? A man and a woman becomes joined to one another through the act of sex. Okay? So you got sex going on, and the Holy Scriptures tell you that if the wicked be multiplied, it is for the sword. You know, you got all these nigger women having all these babies, not knowing that your child is being multiplied for the sword, man. Because if martial law don't get your children, if the militia group don't get your children when hell break loose, if the murder bots don't get your children, if the robot dogs don't get your children, famine will, starvation will. And the Heavenly Father, He's going to set it up in these last days where a lot of you women, you're going to eat your children. Okay? Let's go to the book of Lamentations. Because the prophet Jeremiah experienced this. Okay? When he saw the destruction of his own people, so this is Lamentations chapter 4 verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Okay, so dying of starvation is one of the most painful ways a person can die. Because after going a certain amount of days of your stomach not obtaining food, what happens? Your body starts to shake because of the lack of nutrition, the lack of calories. Your body starts to shake. Your legs start to become heavy. Your body starts to become heavy. You start feeling weak. And then afterwards, okay, and then afterwards, the painful part begins. Your stomach starts to eat itself from within. Your stomach starts to eat away at its organs. That's when the painful process of dying begins. You know? And basically, when you're going through the process of starvation, you you start to hallucinate. And basically at that point, anything starts to taste good to you. Okay? Even human flesh. You see? Even human flesh starts to taste good. You know? So cannibalism is coming back. And according to biblical prophecy, a lot of you nigger women, you're going to end up eating your children. Okay? You know why you're going to end up eating your children when hell breaks loose in America? Because you're strong, you're independent, and you don't need a man. So the Heavenly Father is going to set it up to where you're going to end up eating your own children. Leave that there. Go back to Lamentations. So Lamentations 4:9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for one of the fruits of the field. Verse 10. Now check this out. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat, meaning they were their food in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So all you strong and independent women, get ready to eat your own children. Because that day is coming and it is fast approaching. Okay? It is fastly approaching. Okay? But you see, the reason why the majority of the women of our nation believe that they are strong and independent and that they don't need a woman, and they don't need a man, it's because of moral decay. Okay? It's because of moral decay. Because ever since women's lib, ever since women's lib, ever since you women were given rights, given authority, you forgot how to do your role as being a woman of the house. Because like the LA brothers, like the LA brothers said, oh no, not the LA brothers. Now I was watching the Dallas camp last night. Like Yashawamba said from the Dallas camp, okay? Women play a very important role in the household, okay? Because ultimately, she's supposed to be a pillar of rest to her husband. And not only is she supposed to be a pillar of rest, okay? She's supposed to be teaching her children. Because really, she is supposed to be the first teacher of the household. Okay? Talking about the woman. She's supposed to be the first teacher of the household. You know? Teaching the little girl how to be a housemaid. Teaching the son what it means to become an adult. And it's all according to the scriptures, man. Okay? Her role of being a wife of the house means keeping the house clean, doing laundry, you know, doing dishes, and ultimately being a keeper at home, like the Bible say. So the moral decay of women started with women's lib, which gave women the authority and rights to basically to kick the man out the house and have him replaced with a benefit card, have him replaced with child support, have him replaced with alimony, have him replaced with back pay, Section 8, welfare, food stamps, WIC. And not only that, but when they go to college, they graduate, they get all these high-paying jobs, and they have little to no time to take care of their own children because they're too busy at work for trying to make ends meet. Well, that's where the man comes in. Because if you had a man to go to work for you to make ends meet, you won't have to worry about your children watching things on TV that's inappropriate. You wouldn't have to worry about your children going around flashing water guns like it's a real gun and talking about pew pew. You wouldn't have to worry about that. So let's go back to Matthew. Chapter 24, verse 37. No, verse 38. It says, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. And you see, it did not stop raining. It did not start raining until Noah entered into the ark. You see, as soon as Noah entered into the ark, along with his sons, his wife, and their wives, that's when it started raining. Because even then, during the time of Noah, people were not taking Noah seriously. You know? Noah was over here talking about water droplets coming from the sky, and you know, you had niggas, woo, woo. He said water's gonna come from the sky. Woo, woo. But guess what? The very first time that black ass nigga felt water dropping into his skin, he was like, huh? What the fuck? Somebody just spit on me? Nah, ain't nobody spit on you. It started raining, nigga. And you could only imagine how ferocious that rain was. You could only imagine how fierce that rain was. Okay, now, I've seen thunderstorms before in my life where it'd be raining heavily and it'd be accompanied by lightning. But guess what? When it rained during the time of Noah, the rain was 3 times more fierce than the average thunderstorm you see today. Okay? So this was not your average thunderstorm. I mean, when I tell you it was raining so heavily. Like right now, right? You can see that brown little street pole right there. Well, when it started raining during the time of Noah, it was raining so hard, you would have barely been able to see that street pole right there. Because the rain was so thick, you would have barely been able to see that street pole right there. So that should give you a good idea of how hard it was raining. Okay? And guess what? This rain was accompanied by heavy winds. Very heavy winds. So picture that. Very heavy winds on top of lightning flashing. Okay? So we got lightnings flashing. We got heavy ass thunders. Boom, 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 boom. On top of lightning flashing continuously. So when it started raining like that, right, there was a great panic that was going on. And sure enough, you know, the water started to quickly catch up. The water started to quickly catch up to their ankles. So you know what people were doing? They were walking through the water, trying to get to Noah. Oh shit! Where was that man at who was warning us that it was going to rain? Guess what? By the time they got to Noah's location, Noah was already inside the ark. So that's why when we go to the book of Isaiah, right? Let's go to Isaiah 55, verse 6. Isaiah 55, verse 6. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. How can the Lord be found? Through his prophets, who he set up out on the highways and hedges. That's how the Lord can be found. Okay? That's how he can be found. Through his prophets, whom he has set up out on the highways and hedges, giving you warning. Because before all hell break loose in America, we believe the Lord is going to take us out the streets. Okay? Because the Lord is not going to have his prophets out here on the streets prophesying while there's a civil war going on between ICE agents, martial law troops, and civilians. Nah, man, we ain't gonna be out here. So seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Take it out, okay? The Lord can also be found through YouTube, through the men whom he has set up. Okay? It starts with the men of Great Millstone. And the brothers who teach in like manner. Okay? So that's how the Lord can be found. Okay? Okay? Started with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, trickling down to the rest of the men who followed their teachings. This is how the Lord can be found, man. Okay? The men that's calling on Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth. Because once the doors of mercy are closed, the Lord's men are not going to be out on the highways and hedges teaching anymore. Okay? You're not going to be able to find them anymore out on the highways and hedges teaching. Okay, and if you don't see his men out there on the highways and hedges teaching anymore, if YouTube is no longer readily available anymore, right, what you gonna do? Found anymore. You're not going to be able to find the Lord. Because the famine of the word is coming, you know, and two of my YouTube channels already got strikes this year. And you know what's funny? The videos I have uploaded 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, those are videos that are getting strikes. So you see, Esau is back on his bullshit again. So Matthew 24, verse 39, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be, right? For when they shall say peace and safety. Okay? And you should know why the flood came during the time of Noah. The flood came during the time of Noah because of moral decay. The same things you see going on today, people doing drugs, selling drugs, all kinds of practices of witchcraft, sorcery. Okay? You got all kinds of unrighteous dealings. You got murder going on, adultery, homosexuality at an all-time high, bestiality. Okay, and now you got sex robots. Reproduction on the planet is about to go down because you got all kinds of freaks and weirdos who's going to have sex robots instead of actually having a natural woman. And Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is just a natural loser. Okay, he's just a natural loser. So of course he's going to have a sex robot. Of course he's going to be into animals and little children because he can't get him an actual woman. And ultimately, women don't want him. Okay, now let's go to Isaiah 24. Because moral decay will ultimately lead to you people being judged. Matter of fact, I'm gonna set that down for now. Okay, moral decay will lead to you people getting judged. So this is the book of Isaiah 24 verse 1. Behold, the Lord, now the Lord there is in all caps. When you see Lord there in all caps, that's talking about the Most High. Okay, his name is Yahweh. So it says, behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down. And how did he do that? He did that by using the left-hand side. Because remember, like it tells you in the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 24, man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? So, these Edomites, the self-proclaimed white man that have rule and control over the whole inhabited earth, okay, basically he turned everything upside down. You know, that's why people are eating lobsters, they're eating crabs, they're eating shrimps. And these are all sea roaches. Well, except for the crabs, but the shrimp and the lobster, man, those are sea roaches. But you got people eating those. Like you won't eat an actual roach that'll crawl up and down your wall, but you'll eat shrimp and lobster, which are sea roaches. Okay? You know, that's why Esau allows gooks to sell our people cat and dog meat. That's why pork is a delicacy. You know, if you want to eat lawful meats, it costs a lot more money. Adulterers and adulteresses are allowed to walk around freely, when the Bible tells you they're supposed to be put to death. They're supposed to be deleted. Mo's, I'm talking about HOMOs. They get to walk around freely. You know, come out the closet. You see? When the Bible says they're supposed to be deleted. Pedophiles are supposed to be deleted. You got men who commit incest with their sisters. Okay? They're supposed to be separated from their people. You know? Okay? You got women who have as much authority as men do, when it's not supposed to be like that. You see? So the self-proclaimed white man, the biblical Edomites, have turned everything upside down. And everything that the Lord said not to do, he's doing it. So Isaiah 24:1, behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, And the earth is not empty in the sense that obviously the earth is not empty. It's full of animals, insects, marine life, and people, birds and all. But the earth is empty because the moral values have disappeared from the planet. Okay? I mean, you got women wearing pants for crying out loud. You got men wearing skirts and dresses. Okay? In the book of Deuteronomy. I believe Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, tells you that a man shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a woman. Neither shall a woman wear that which pertaineth to a man. For all that do so are an abomination to the Lord. So, I mean, you got women wearing shorts, pants. They're not supposed to be wearing that. You got men wearing skirts and dresses. You got men walking around with purses. Okay, a purse is a woman's apparel. You know? A purse is a woman's apparel. But you got men walking around with purses, wearing lipsticks. How the fuck are you 6 feet tall and you're wearing pumps? You're a 6 feet tall, muscular man, but you're wearing pumps. Talking about you identify as a female. So this whole world is upside down. Meanwhile, an abomination like that is allowed to walk around. Okay? You got booty warriors walking around and shit. And the prison systems is full of abominations, okay? Don't get me started on the prison systems. The prison systems is full of sodomites. Because what do you think a booty warrior is inside of the prison system? Okay? He's a nigga that takes young nigga booties, okay? And guess what? Booty warriors, they pray for YNs to go to prison for some dumb shit, like murder, or Grand Theft Auto, or robbing somebody, or robbing and murdering somebody. Okay? You got all these YNs, they make all these YouTube rap videos about how they tough and, you know, they walk around with the strap and, you know, I got this and that and tat, and I'm gonna catch you on my block and da. But as soon as they go to prison, okay, they're getting bent over and basically FUCKED in the ASS. Okay? They becoming another man's bitch. Okay? Washing drawers with a red cherry flavored Kool-Aid smeared on their lips. And basically they're getting pumped every day. But on the outside, in the hood, they were supposed to be these tough guys. Okay? Now they're going to prison with long dreads. You know, booty warriors, they love niggas with long dreads in prison. Okay? You want to wear dreads? And which dreads is a pagan custom. Okay? Niggas are not supposed to be wearing dreads. Okay, that goes back to the East Indians and their false god, Shiva, who supposedly stopped the deluge with his hair. So, hey, you wanna have long ass hair? You wanna have long ass dreads? Okay, go to prison for life for some dumb shit. You're gonna be somebody bitching there every day. So if you just kept, if the law, statutes, and commandments were executed, right, there wouldn't be any sodomites in prison. And in any case, a murderer, in any case, a murderer is supposed to be put to death. But now Esau gonna throw him in prison for life. You know why? Because he has turned everything upside down, and he does everything contrary to what the Lord said. Let me get that in Habakkuk 2 verse 4 real quick. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4, then I'm going to go back to Isaiah 24. Okay, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. So the soul of these Edomites are not upright in them. Okay? It's not upright. But the just shall live by his faith. Okay? The just shall live by his faith. So let's go back to Isaiah. The just are the Israelites, which are the Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Point blank, end of story. So Isaiah 24 and 1, behold, Yahweh making the earth empty. So the earth is empty because moral decay is at an all-time high. Okay? Nobody knows how to keep the land Sabbath anymore. You know? Oh! And speaking of land Sabbath, tell me why. All right. Well, while I was at the store, a grocery store, right? I saw some grapes I saw some grapes that are now smaller than a dime. You got grapes that are smaller than dimes now. I saw these grapes and I was like, what the fuck? You got grapes that are smaller than dimes. Think about that. Okay? But grapes should never be that small. But guess what? They are. They are that small. Why? Because the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. So moral decay also leads to the corruption of food. Okay? I forget which chapter it is in the book of Numbers, but in the book of Numbers, it tells you that it took 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. Do you know what that means? One grape used to be the size of a basketball. Think about that. And way back in the ancient world, men used to be more bigger, bulkier, stronger, muscular. So think about it. It tells you that it took 2 strong men. It took 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. So it says, behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty and maketh it desolate, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. So this earth is empty. It's empty because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And the wicked is not about the morals or values of the Holy Scriptures. The wicked is about moral decay. Okay? That's exactly what they're about. They're all about moral decay. Okay? Let's read verse 2. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priests, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. And the land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh has spoken this word. Okay? And we see that. Okay? The Lord has spoken, and he has made good on his word. Okay? This whole earth is ass backwards right now. And all you got to do is look all around you, man. There's some kind of demonic symbolisms, Illuminati signs everywhere. You know, the sidewalks and the streets are emitting harmful vapor and fumes that your body cannot detect. But it sure as hell is affecting your body. Okay, verse Isaiah 24:3. The land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled. Okay, it says, for Yahweh have spoken this word. And the land ultimately is talking about the whole earth. Okay? Because the whole earth is empty. Okay? Name one country on this planet that is righteous, abiding by the laws, statutes, the commandments, the moral values of the Lord, which can be found in the Holy Scriptures. Name one country that's doing it. You're not going to find one. But anyways, okay. Verse 4. The earth, and you know, oh yeah, okay, so all right, like you look at China, right? China has basically patented their ways after Babylon the Great, which is the United States of America. So China have patented their ways after America. You know, I mean, you go to China, right? You got men dressed in suits, ties. Their women are dressed like whores. Their women are dressed like whores, okay? Instead of being dressed in a traditional Chinese dress, you know, they're walking around with mini skirts, you know, tight ass pants, okay? their heads are uncovered. They got skyscrapers, and you're not supposed to have skyscrapers in your country, but there's skyscrapers in China. Okay, you look at Dubai, Dubai, there's skyscrapers down there. Same thing. Women completely shameless, uncovered, undressed. Not dressed like how they're supposed to. You go to some of these Arabian countries. Their women, they might have their heads covered, but their women are wearing pants. You see some of that, like when you go to some of their news channels, their women will have their heads covered, but they're wearing pants. Okay, when a woman is not supposed to be wearing pants. Okay, Australia, that's pretty much an Edomite country. Russia, an Edomite country. Okay, you go to Europe, an Edomite country. America, an Edomite country. Brazil, that's a country that's full of idol worship. Okay, idol worship. Mexico, Mexico is pretty much a wicked country. Nothing but murder, robbery, all kind of drug dealings going on down there. Okay, Japan pretty much patting themselves after China, in which China patting themselves after Babylon the Great, which is the United States of America. So there's not a single righteous country on this planet. Okay, point blank period, end of story. So Isaiah 24 verse 4, it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languished and fadeth away. Why? Because of moral decay. Okay? In China, they pretty much eat anything. They eat octopus, they eat squid, they eat live squid, they eat crabs, lobsters, they eat oysters. They'll cut the rod off a tiger and make it a delicacy. Eat that shit like it's a hot dog. They eat tigers, elephant ass. They eat all kind of disgusting shit down there. Same thing with Japan, because Japan patents themselves after China. Now you also got to remember, right? The Japanese people are the biblical Ammonites. The Chinese people are the biblical Moabites. And we know that Ammon and Moab were born out of incest. Okay, but that don't change the fact that they're both brothers. So of course Ammon is going to patent himself after his brother Moab. Okay. So the Ammonites, which are the Japanese, have patented themselves after China. So Japan, they pretty much eat just any old thing. North Korea, South Korea, those are Moabites, calling themselves North Koreans or South Koreans. Okay, the Taiwanese, those are Moabites, calling themselves Taiwanese people. And basically, Taiwan has patented themselves after the manner of China. Okay, North and South Korea have patented themselves after the manner of China. Isaiah 24 verse 4, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languish and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Why? Because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. That's why. Okay? So because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? Proverbs 29 verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And it's not just the people who are in a state of rejoicing. Okay? The trees are in a state of rejoicing. The grass, the soil of the earth, the bushes, the plants, they're all in a state of rejoicing because of the righteous being set back in their proper order. You know, the sea life, they're in a state of rejoicing. You see? They're in a state of rejoicing. Why? Because of the righteous being in authority. Okay? The righteous being set up in their proper order. So the earth mourneth and fadeth away because of unrighteous dealings. Right? You constantly got radiation, nuclear waste being dumped into the oceans. When the landfills become too full, what do the Edomites do? They'll go and get a tractor and a big ass ship, and they'll take all the garbage and move it to this ship. And then they'll take the ship out to the middle of the ocean, and then they'll dump all the trash in the ocean just to make room, for the landfill. Okay? And that's wicked. You're not supposed to do that. Okay? So the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languished and fadeth away because of moral decay. Okay, the haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Okay? And that's why moral decay is at an all-time high. You got birds dropping dead from 5G cell towers. Okay? Here it is, it's springtime, and I don't see any bumblebees out here. I don't see any bees, I don't see any wasps. You know, I remember when I was a child, we used to see bees all the time, man. Okay? We used to see bees, we used to see butterflies. When was the last time you saw a dragonfly? You don't even see dragonflies anymore. Okay? I can't even remember the last time I saw a fly. Now, when was the last time you saw a horsefly? You know? Nowadays, the only thing I see in the air are birds. And you don't even see birds flying in large packs anymore. You don't even see birds flying in large packs anymore, man. What's up with that? Remember when birds used to fly in large packs? Nowadays, when you see a bird flying, you see like 10 of them. You might even see 4 of them sometimes. Okay? Birds are supposed to be flocking together in large groups. By like the 50s, the hundreds. But you don't see that anymore. So Isaiah 24:6, therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Yeah, the people that dwell therein are desolate. Why? Because of moral decay. Okay? Okay? You're desolate because you think it's okay to eat pork. You think it's okay to eat crab, lobster, animals with paws. You think it's okay to eat horse meat. You think it's okay to be a homo. You think it's okay to commit adultery. You think it's okay to get tattoos. When the scriptures tell you in Leviticus 19 verse 28 that you're not supposed to make cuttings in your flesh. You know? You think it's okay to be a pedo. You think incest is okay. You think it's okay to have dreads. Here it is, you're an Israelite man, and you think it's okay to have long hair. You're a man, but you think it's okay to wear a skirt or a dress. You think it's okay to wear pumps, being a man. Okay? You think it's okay to get lineups and edge ups? You know? You think it's okay to rap about gun? You think it's okay to rap about committing murder and selling drugs? You think it's okay to do drugs? You think it's okay to sell drugs? You think worshiping idols is okay? You think practicing witchcraft and sorcery is okay? You think it's okay to eat whatever you want to eat? You know? So that's why you people are fading away. You think it's okay to smoke. That's why you're empty and you're fading away. Especially you Israelites, which are you Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. You're fading away, you're becoming empty because you don't have Yahushua in you. Now, we're not going to be saved on keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, okay? Ultimately, the elect is going to be saved through faith, through believing in the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahushua. Through rehearsing the righteous acts, which is a part of those works, spoken of in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. So Isaiah 24:6. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth. And basically, when you don't keep Yahweh, Yahushua's law, statutes, and commandments, what happens? A curse come upon you. You eat pork, what happens? You end up with parasites, you end up with trichinella worms, you end up with larvae of eggs, of worms in your body. Okay, you eat shrimp, lobster, or crab, what happened? You end up with fiber tissue issues, you get sick, you end up with cancer, and you could possibly end up with gangrene, where you might have to get a whole leg chopped off in order to prevent the spread of gangrene. You know? You commit adultery, what happens? Okay, women who end up committing adultery, popping on every Tom, Dick, and Harry, okay, they get plagued with spirits, demonic spirits, which is why they end up batshit crazy. Which is why they end up batshit crazy, okay? You know, because they end up with all them spirits, because every man's semen has spirits in them. So when you have multiple men's spirit, when you have multiple men's semen inside of you, okay, those are spirits that ends up plaguing your mind. Okay? And the Lord is giving you several examples of moral decay. Just like that guy that came up there, just like the guy that was riding on that bike earlier that came up here, he threw up the Baphomet sign. Well, guess what? Baphomet is tied to an androgynous demon. Okay? Half man, half woman. That's a demonic spirit, man. Okay? And then on top of that, he had all kind of tattoos on his arms. Moral decay. Okay? Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Yeah, you're desolate because of moral decay. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned and few men left. So that's pretty much that. Let's go to 2 Ezra 14, then I'm gonna get ready to close it out. So I'm gonna pick up my secondary blade, which is the Apocrypha. And let's go to 2 Ezra 14. I wonder if I can find it. Chapter 14, verse 14, at 144. Call halayim la ala hayanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Okay, 2 Ezra 14, verse 14. Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. Why? Because moral decay is at an all-time high, and we're living at a time where Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai is about to judge the inhabitants of the earth. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Yeah, greater evils. For here comes the key point. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age. And why is that? Because as long as the wicked remains in power, the earth will continue to mourn and fade away. Why? Because of moral decay. And why is that? Because the wicked is ruling over the whole earth. Okay? And they don't care about the planet. Okay? Edomites do not care about life. For look how much the world shall be weakened through age, so much more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. For the truth is fled far away. And Yahweh Shai is the truth of the Holy Scriptures. Okay? So if you don't have Yahweh Shai dwelling in you, okay, then you're in a state of moral decay, and it's only a matter of time before you end up being judged and end up perishing from the earth. For the truth is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasteth the vision to come, which thou hast seen. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wahaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity, while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. With that, I'm going to say Shalom to the elect. DTA Abad Babal. Shalom.